So, reason for grief. And this has started in verse 11, where Krishna was attempting to help Arjuna, who is a participant in this world. And being such, he comes to certain challenges, as we all do. And Arjuna was in a situation that compelled him to ask two questions. One of them was the primary question, which is behind all questions: what is the ultimate end of all of this? You know, when all is said and done, when all of my life is working out, when I'm prosperous, when I'm successful, when I have gotten the children and gotten the family, and I've been married, and I've gotten the Harvard degree, I went to Stanford, I've gotten the accolades and the social status, and all of the things that have been told to me that are worthy of pursuit. Where does it all end? Like, what's the ultimate final destination of all of this? Is it just to get more and become bigger and so on? And thereby, this compelled Arjuna to ask for the fundamental question: what will give me permanent fulfillment? What's the ultimate, final, highest pursuit that I can pursue while I have a new breath coming to me every moment? Like, where should I invest my breath into? And the second question was, how do I resolve these, right, in a efficient way, in a productive way, in a non-time wasting way, in a more intelligent way? How do I deal with challenges that arise in my life? And naturally, we don't have the answers to these two questions. I mean, we do get, right, from different people. You do hear from your colleagues and from different here and there's. However, there is no proper methodology to really back it up. There's no one complete system. And so this was causing Arjuna grief, because he tried to look at this situation of doing his duty of taking care of the Kauravas. However, he looked at himself as not as he really is, but what he's not. And so whenever we look at ourselves in the light of who we are not, then Ishwara's feedback of that is grief or concern or anxiety. So all throughout life, Ishwara is telling us there's grief, there's something else to work on. There is anxiety, there is yet something more to work on. There is concern about death, about being a perfectionist, about working more and more and more on your mind. There is something to work on. You haven't touched the core of why you were really born, why you're really here. So Ishwara, in that sense, is always speaking to us, because the truth is, Krishna said to us so far, as we've gone through these verses, that our bodies are all five elements. These bodies for Arjuna that he's about to engage with are all five elements. His own body is five elements. Everyone's body is just matter, five elements. And not having that methodology, as we just spoke of, naturally, you have nothing to fall back on. Naturally, you will see yourself as good as these five elements, and that will induce a certain grief, a certain anxiety, a certain fear of dying, a certain need to perform in life. Why? Because I am one of many. And naturally, being one of many, there is a compulsion to make something of that one, to become more embellished, to add more glory to that one single individual. And thereby the pursuit of life begins. And Krishna stated that your truth is much bigger than these three bodies that you are bearing, which is consisting of your physical, which is consisting of our thoughts and emotions and memories, which is consisting of our impressions, our habits, our unseen results of actions. You are much bigger than all of this. You are the Dehi. You're not the Deha, Deha being the body, all these three bodies. You're the Dehi, the indweller. Now, the indweller word doesn't mean to say that the real you is stuck in the body, but it's a term with an implied meaning. It wants to say that your truth, who you are right now is much bigger, is not confined to the deha. It's not confined to your thought, nor to the physical body, nor to your habits and impressions. It expands outside the boundaries. That you, that is now in the presence of whom this conversation is taking place, that you is not confined to that body that's sitting down in the chair right now. That you, in whom there's an experience of teacher-student conversation going on now, that you is the same you that is pervading my own body, pervading my own mind, pervading the minds of those that have lived before us, that will continue to pervade the minds of those that are yet to be born. And we used a methodology in Sanskrit. We call it Avacheda Vada, and it's a technical term. It means delineation theory, but I would just call it boundary teaching, the teaching of boundary, Avacheda Vada. And what this prakriya shows you is it takes a simple object like a jar or a cup. I'll take a jar. And the space inside this jar, okay, by the presence of this jar, because of the presence of the jar, the space inside will take itself to be confined, okay? So it gives you a visual effect by the presence of this jar. It gives you a visual effect that the space inside is confined. The reality is that space inside was here, all pervading, before this jar came. So this jar was born. Space is here, and now the jar is born. The space was there before the jar came. That exact space is very much here, still accommodating this jar. And when this jar breaks, can you say now that the space inside has been freed? I break this jar, take a hammer, and you say, oh, the space inside is freed. Is this a true statement? Why not?
The space was always free.
The space was always there.
It was always there. Good, Michael, and good, Arsha. And the rest of us also wanted to say something, but we were on the same page. Thereby, what the space has to understand first is that even while there is the presence of this jar, or your body, or your mind, right? The jar is just a metaphor for that. I have to, number one, understand, even though it seems like, right, by the boundaries of this wall, I am confined, in actuality, it is me, the all-pervading space. So when space says me, the space is referring to the all-pervading space, including the space inside. It is actually in me that the jar obtains. It is not only accommodating this one body, one jar for now, it is also accommodating a second jar, and jars that are yet to come, and jars that came before me. Not only does the space have to recognize that it is accommodating this jar, it also has to understand that no matter what I put in the jar, dirty water, suppose, or sewer water, or clean water, does it affect the space? Does it contaminate the space? Does the dirty water attributes, do they pass on to the space inside of the jar? No.
No.
Because if it did, then if I pour out the dirty water and I put in clean water, then that clean water will now be dirty also, because it's going inside a dirty space. That's not the case. We empty out, we put in now clean. Now the water is clean. In other words, the space does not interfere with whatever it accommodates. It doesn't pass on any attributes onto whatever it accommodates. Why? Because the space itself doesn't have attributes. So this means that the space, from the standpoint of this one jar, has to cognitively understand, come to know, simply know cognitively, that although there is a presence of the jar, undeniable, although there is a quality of the water equated to the quality of your mind, undeniable, although that's true, in actuality, me, which is referring to the space, I, referring to the space, am both free of the boundaries of the jar, how big the jar is, and the contents within the jar, indicative of the qualities of your thoughts, of your concerns, of the grief, of your life in overall. So now when we apply this prakriya to the dehi, which is of the nature of sat and chit, existence and awareness, just like the space, when there's a jar that pops up in the presence of the space, the jar accommodates it. Like that, when there is a new mind born, a new body born in you, all pervasive, then from the standpoint of that one body, which is your body right now, which is my body right now, what is born? I am. I am is born. And by the presence of that I am, if you don't recognize what is it that's enabling me to say I am, what is it that's enabling me to have thoughts and concerns and grief, then that I am becomes as good as the grief, good as the thought, good as the emotion. Thereby, the methodology comes in and it frees you from seeing yourself as that one of the many. So this means two errors are made. Not knowing this. What is born? Born is a body and a mind complex. Not knowing this, two mistakes get made. Number one, I am as good as the body and the mind. I'm as good as the jar. This much, this small, this big, gender, female, male. And I am as good as the contents inside the jar. Therefore, I am becomes both the boundaries of the body and the contents of the mind. So this means that by the presence of your body, it seems to fragment you. That's why you feel like you're over there and not everywhere. This is everyone's experience. No one feels like they're everywhere. Why? Because there is a body, a mind, that is meant to, for 80 or so years, meant to contain you in one single jar, which is okay. I'm not supposed to, knowing this truth now, feel myself everywhere. Just like the space inside this jar is not going to, while it's having this jar, it's not going to suddenly experience itself everywhere. Empirically, there is a purpose to this jar. It makes you experience as though you are confined, which is fine. But knowingly, I recognize, even though that seems to be true for these 80 or so years, that is actually not true. Then the verse continued and said, suppose you don't understand this and you're not connecting to these words, right? It's a little bit still foreign, it's a new idea, suppose. Then that's fine, says Krishna in verse 31 onwards, because there are still laws which will take care of that, will take care of you slowly. Assuming you are in this journey, it will take care of this obstacle that's making one not kind of capture this very well. And what are these laws? Well, these laws, as we said, are your psychological law, right? How your mind operates, physiological law, chemistry law, biology law. What I have to do is I have to align myself as an individual who's trying to understand this reality with these laws. What do I mean by this? Well, take the law of destruction, the law that because of which you're able to have one thought and have that thought swiped away, only to give birth to a new thought. Imagine being stuck with one single thought. Would that be nice? One thought. And you're like, get out of here, man, just get out. And he just doesn't want to leave. It's like right here, constant.
That one thought is called depression.
Yes. So this means that, like, thank God this law of destruction, Shiva, is here all the time, removing my thoughts, removing memories of hurt and bitterness and worry and concern and grief. So this means that I align myself to this law and I say, Shiva, I close my eyes and I pray. Help me to remove those obstacles that are holding me back from living a fuller, richer, wealthier life. Help me to remove the obstacles that are denying me from recognizing Ishvara in all things. Help me to convert those old stories that are holding me back and not letting me see your glories. Help me to convert them into something that is more cheerful, more true to you. Help me to mold and reshape and convert those old stories, notions that are old and ancient, which have no more use in this life of mine. Help me to convert them into something that I enjoy spending my time with. So we have a conversation with this law in the form of Shiva. Why is it called Shiva? Because in the Vedic culture, instead of just calling it a law, which is very hard to relate with, it's too abstract, you give it a form and you embellish the form. And thereby you look at the various symbols of the form, like the conch, like the gada, like the chakra. The chakra represents the discerning intellect, able to slice and dice through falsehoods and truths. The conch, the shanka is able to, the inner conscience that's always speaking to you. What is the right thing to do? The gada, the mace, which is the punya papam, the consequences that you receive if I am out of alignment, if I don't listen to that conch, that inner conscious, what do I get? I get a big mace on the head. That's Shiva's gift to you. Because if you didn't get that gift, you and I would have gone down a wrong road a long time ago. So there's an inbuilt system that's always bringing us back. And that inbuilt system is your savior. It tells you whether you're still on the right track or if you need to make some finer corrections. Thereby, we make these laws work for us, such as the law of destruction. Then we talked about duty, and we said, if I haven't understood this reality, then the laws will take care of me. Just align myself to the laws. But also amongst that, there is duty, because you are blessed this body. It's not your body. You didn't sculpt it in a manufacturing plant. It was blessed to you. It was given to you. And I am entrusted this body for a while. And this body has capacities to do, not do, or do something different. It's given the power of free will, and it can make great changes onto itself, and it can be a contributor in the world. And in case of Arjuna, he was also given a body like yours and mine. He was given a certain kind of a strength. In his case, it was a kshatriya. He is a warrior. And Krishna said, by recognizing and aligning myself to my strength, to my swadharma, what is it that is to be done in this stage of my life with this person, whether it is your close by colleague, brother, sister, mom, dad, or a stranger, there's always a different relationship that you have with every person. So that different relationship with a person or a situation, that is called swadharma. You cannot expect to have the same swadharma towards a stranger that you just met as to your dear friend. But there is a certain etiquette, there's a certain law that governs the interactions between your mom, your dad, and a stranger, which is called samanya dharma. These are the universal ethical values. So this means that every time the mind shifts out of these universal values, which always speak to you, that's the conch, that inner conscience. Every time our mind inserts its own like or dislike, here's how it should be, here's how I want it to be. Even though the scriptures say it like this is how I want it to be. Every time that voice speaks, we gently bring our mind back. Why? Because for years, the mind's been conditioned to think that it is the owner of its own body, that you're the owner, that you are, you have all of the control in the world. If that was the case, you and I would have had everything already yesterday if we were really in total control of our lives. Because who wants to wait one more day to make their life work? You would have done it yesterday. So there's a certain law that is operable that I'm not ever above. And that law is samanya dharma, universal values. And the more I align and bring my mind back to those laws, those universal ethical laws, which is, I know that I don't want to be hurt, and I also know that you don't want to be hurt. That's inbuilt in all of us. Every time my mind snaps out of that, or it wants to do something on its own accord, its own little naughty likes or dislikes, then gently we bring it back and we see what's the cost of engaging in this. What's the long-term cost? Loss of self-esteem, loss of reputation, feeling like a small, powerless person. I'm listening on one hand to the scriptures, on the other hand, I still fall for these very simple temptations. So it costs you character, personality, pride, self-esteem. So keeping that in cost in mind, I'm able to have some motivation to do what is to be done. And initially, I know it's so hard, isn't it? So hard to override one's own likes and dislikes, one's own personal naughty values. It's so hard to do that, honestly. But every time you do it, it becomes easier and it builds character. And then you discover, wow, I'm so glad I went through hell. That temptation of hell, that's what it felt like. That now I'm in this place, that I was able to overcome that temptation and do what is to be done. That builds so much strength in you. That builds character. So duty is also very prominent and something that we're all endowed with, a strength. And that strength is what this Varna ashrama wants to communicate. It says that not according to your birth necessarily, as is often seen, but according to what choices you make in life, because you can be very much a Shudra, ordinary, just a simple person, supporter, you support. You can very much through choice making rise to the top. You can rise as a teacher or a protector or a police force or the government or the president through consistent choices. Arjuna just happens to be a Kshatriya. He is a protector of the society. Now, a common question is, why is Krishna advising Arjuna to fight? Why is he advising violence?
Yeah.
Common question. Because Arjuna, he was rational in his response. After Krishna says, go and fight, he said, I don't want to because this is not right. The society will be damaged. There will be widows. The children will be orphaned or something. There will be bloodshed. Death is not pleasant. No one can say it's pleasant. There will be losses on both sides. It's not that Krishna was asking Arjuna to fight, go and do violence. It's just that Arjuna was in a position to be a warrior. So that is his duty. He's not saying go and fight. He's saying go and do your duty according to your Varna Ashrama, according to your strengths. If Arjuna was an accountant, what would Krishna say then? Go and fill out the spreadsheet. If Arjuna was, what else? What else? A English teacher, go and teach the Kauravas English. We didn't have English back then. whatever, right? Of course, if you have something like an accountant, would the story pass on through the ages? No, you need something impactful. And the most impactful stories are always about wars. I was watching Troy. Anyone seen Troy, the movie? Troy, cool movie, right? It's kind of like a story similar to Mahabharata. It's also a story of war. It's, the Greeks and Trojans, Greeks and the Trojans. The Greeks wanted to conquer the Trojans. That's where the Trojan horse came from. They built a horse, the Greeks, and they couldn't get inside the Trojan castle, right? It was too tall for them. And they had to think, how do we go to the other side? And so they devised a big horse, and they hid themselves inside. And so the Trojans thought, oh, this is a present from the gods, so we would just take it into our palace. So when everyone's sleeping, the Greeks, they come out of the Trojan horse, a wooden horse, and they open the big gates and they let all of the army in and they take over the castle. That's how the Trojan horse came. It's a memorable story. Now, suppose the little accountant was in that story. The story is about an accountant filling out the spreadsheets. Would this even pass on? No way. So this means every impactful story has to go through generations. It has to survive through the times. And how do you make that? You make it about a war. So whether the war happened or not, it doesn't matter. The point is, it's memorable. Thereby is not asking Arjuna to fight. He's saying, simply do your duty. So this means in our society, not in our society, but there are two ways by which the society can go. One of them is called my right society, the society of, quote, my rights. It is my right that the roads are repaired. It is my right that we have low taxes. It is my right that the government makes and gives us jobs. It is our right that we are well protected. It is you see this? It never ends. Now, what does this do to the culture of this my rights culture? It makes it very discontent, because is the world made to fulfill everyone's rights? Is the world designed to satisfy everyone's rights? No, not at all. So what happens is this my rights culture, which is so prevalent today in countries. We have the right to ask. I still remember in this moment, J.F. Kennedy, ask not what the country can do for you, but rather what you can do for the country. So what he was talking about is the second kind of society called my duty society. What little, according to my strengths, can I give in my community, in my little community that I live in? By doing so, automatically everyone's duties get fulfilled, automatically. And you also get a lot of feedback. People love you when they see you doing your part very well. They reward you. So my rights society ends up adding complaints and discontent within the society, because we have the right. According to whom? Our likes and dislikes. Yet the world is not made to please our likes and dislikes. The second kind of society, which is the healthy society, is my duty-based society. What is as an individual? Because synergy, one makes up the whole. I make up the whole. What one part do I play very well in this society, wherever that society is, at whatever time it is? Let me do that gladly. By doing so, automatically others' rights get fulfilled. For example, if a country had no teachers of some sort, and the parents are going, it is our right to have teachers. Our right to have teachers. Discontent. When the teachers come, naturally, their rights get fulfilled. There's no complaining now. So the Mahabharata was the Vedic time was the story of my duty society. Today, nowadays, it has greatly shifted to my right society.
Right. Yes.
And it's the core, one of the cores of all problems on a mass scale of today's discontent and not necessary protests. Some of them are necessary, some of them are totally unnecessary, and creates noise, it creates discontent, it creates just so much, distrust for the government. Like, what is the government own you? It's amazing. Like, the government, we don't trust, they own us. What does the government own you? Anything. See this? And so there's this thing in a society where we want the president to change our lives. We want the government to change our lives. What does the president or the government have anything to do with your life? Literally zero. They generally are going to run the country, of course. They're going to run the infrastructure. But 90% plus, 99% plus, depends on what country it is, of course. You're going to have your own rights, your own ways of moving through this world to make it to the top. This is a fact. So this is called my duty-based living. What is my duty as a man, as a woman, as a sister, as a brother, as employee, as worker and employer? What is my duty? And that much I do. And when I do that much, you are so immersed naturally, you don't even find what others are doing anymore. Complaints reduce automatically because you're just doing your part. And as we will see soon, when karma yoga comes in, it's got nothing to do with what I'm doing, because often we ask, what should I be doing? It was never a question of what should I be doing, but how am I doing what I'm doing? With what attitude am I doing with what I'm doing? That's what sculpts the society. Just changing the attitude from this, I have to go to work, I have to make money, I don't like what I'm doing, to, hey, I have an opportunity. I am so lucky to receive this, this sustenance in my life. And I can turn this into a spiritual activity. Work, ordinary work, turn into a spiritual activity. This will be coming up in Karma Yoga. How to do that. Then it was asked, then why should Arjuna engage in this battle? Why should you engage in this battle? So this is always this motivation behind all things, because we as humans, we need some boost, some push. And Krishna is using this pain, pleasure, simple, right? Carrot and stick method. Now, carrot and stick, it works. There are more nuanced methods. There is, some people are not motivated by, what's my pain or what's my reward. I don't care about the rewards of pain. That means give me an environment where you're not always watching over my back. You're not putting pressure on me. Give me a space that I can just work on my own. I don't want a manager to look over me. Give me a place where I can work safely. I'm not pushed by anyone. Some people are motivated by that. I don't need your stick or your carrot to motivate me. Some of us are motivated through being given a simple, empowering environment, like Googleplex, colorful, stimulating. Seats are not just ordinary, they're like little bouncy balls, whatever, pictures, anything that encourages me. I will sit there and I will do the work. You don't need to give me carrot and a stick to motivate me. Just make my environment sufficiently stimulating, sufficiently inviting and comfortable, and I will work automatically. Some of us are motivated through feedback. We simply get feedback every once in a while, like you're doing a wonderful job, and I love how you're able to find nuanced ways of creativity and applying it. It's so wonderful. Keep it up. Thank you. I don't need your carrot and stick. You simply were honest and you told me what you noticed, and that's all I need for motivation. Inspiring biographies. Some of us can just read stories of Nelson Mandela or Ramanujan or anyone who's made an impact in the society, and you see what resilience they've had to cross mountains and hoops and come out to the other side, and how worth it was at the end. And you're like, wow, it's totally worth it. Initially, it felt so hard and so cumbersome and so, tiresome. But when I came to the other side, they say in their book, it was the best thing I've ever done. I started a movement. I started, I've protested against the unfair practices. And you're just touched by that, and you say, wow, this is amazing. I'm going to do something like that. What is the question of pain and pleasure? But here Krishna is using one, they all basically are pain and pleasure, models. Here he says to Arjuna, by doing what you are good at, through that you will have an immediate consequence, which is you will have a kingdom to yourself. You will see peace again, which is what you want. But your real reward is Swarga. This was in verse 32. And Swarga is slightly different than we have in the Western world. In the Western world, there is heaven and hell. In the Vedic model, there are realms of experience. There is Pitraloka, Devaloka, Indraloka, Satyaloka, Brahmaloka. There are different worlds. And the traveler, called the jiva, goes to these different worlds according to the qualities of their actions. So it's not just one place that you can go to. There's many different places that are a fertile ground for the kinds of punyam and papam that you've gained while living on earth. That's the kind of world you go to. So it's got nothing to do with belief. Even an atheist, by the way, will go to heaven if they do the right thing, which is amazing, right? You're spending your lifetime going, oh, there's no heaven, there's no God, there's no the other worlds. When you die, that's the end of that. It's just blackness, promoting that all your life. But the person's a good person. They die, suddenly they're in this different world. Swarga doesn't care about what you believe. It's a law. No one's above the law. The law always works. Whether I believe in gravity or not, I'm an atheist to gravity. Gravity doesn't care. It's not going to spare me. It's just going to work. I walk to the end of the building, fall down. Atheist dies. If he was a good person, she was a good person, they go to Swarga. The laws don't care about preferences. They just work. That's why they're called Sanatana Dharma. They're eternal. They never change. That's why we all depend upon them. This is why we all can rely upon them. They're not random. They're not sort of chaotic. There is a certain comfort waking up knowing that gravity is going to be there. But who's not going to be there? Your wife or your husband. They probably got up earlier. Even someone so close to you, you cannot quite count on. But what can you count on? The laws by which both him and you and her are governed. That's Ishvara's laws. These infallible laws never fail. Therefore, Swarga and Naraka, they are already there waiting for the jiva to enter. The second difference is that when the punya and papam exhausts, then that jiva doesn't stay there forever. Contrary to some other views, that jiva falls back down like a rocket. When the fuel empties out, the rocket goes back down to where it started. Similarly, the jiva, despite having a lovely lighter body without hunger, always feeling full, no lust, none of these baggages there, that's heaven. The jiva simply comes to an end, also sees older individuals in heaven and realizes, these individuals are about to die. Now, when those individuals in heaven die, where are they going? If we look at the individual and we go on earth and we go, they're about to die, where is that individual for us on earth going? Heaven. In heaven, or Naraka, right? As Asha pointed down, I think that she said. But in heaven, you're now seeing older individuals because the laws are the same. It's not like here it's all just, there's an aging, but in heaven it's all just youthful. The laws are the same wherever you go. Maybe longer, 1,000 years or 1,000,000 years. It doesn't matter. You look at an old individual there. Where are they going? They are going from Swarga back into Bhuloka. Welcome back. How was it? How was what? How was heaven? What are you talking about? I was never in heaven. Oh, okay. So you just spend all those lifetimes looking to go to heaven, only to now tell me you don't remember being in heaven. Congratulations. So you just let them do their thing, right? You and I were probably in heaven. Do you remember that? How was it? What? I don't remember exactly. Now we're only on earth talking about heaven again. It's so funny, right? So the individual When they're in one world, they're not happy. Now they're looking for a higher world. When they're in that higher world, things are okay for a while, but then because you have a human mind or a mind that's able to think, it finds some flaws, it finds some limitations. It cannot stop until it finds limitlessness. Because even not Swarga is limited, it's going to find some limitations there. But now it's already looking at even a higher heaven. It just never stops. This is called samsara. Still the process of the samsara chakra alternating between elevator level 1, level 2, level 3, and then the elevator breaks, goes back to level 1. And you have to repair it, and that takes some time. And who's the repairman? The guru. Brings the tools, brings the scriptures, and okay, let's sit down and let's repair our business. And then slowly, you stop this cycle of sameness. Therefore, Krishna then says, if you do what you do, you get Swarga. If you don't do what you do, what you're meant for, you get papam. The consequences are papam. Why? Because every time you skip what you are good at, you don't go out into the real world, and what happens? I miss out on the feedback that would have helped me to refine my responses, to change my orientations, to get my emotions in order, to develop character, to develop strength. Every single time I hold myself back indoors and I don't go out there and get challenged and get confronted, I miss that opportunity. Who else is going to sculpt you than other people, than other experiences that are going to bring you some different kinds of, thoughts that you haven't had before about yourself, about life in general. Therefore, that then becomes your papam. Why? Because then that individual is now sitting home, discontent, wondering, why is life like this to me? Had they gone out, gotten engaged, gotten the responses, they would have gotten so much opportunity for growth, so much feedback. And that feedback would have sculpted the person and developed strength and character. And that's so healthy. This is demonstrated in a story of Panchatantra. Anyone know about Panchatantra? The stories for kids? Such a nice book of many stories. And you can find any story for any example in the Panchatantra. But there is a basic story, which is called The Monkey and the Crocodile. The crocodile and the monkey. So there was a monkey on a tree, and the monkey was eating fruits, and the crocodile noticed and so decided to rest underneath the shade of the tree. The monkey.
This is the favorite story of my grandson.
Yes, yeah, favorite. It's the basic story that introduces you into the Panchatantra. And the monkey noticed, and being a kind soul, wanted to offer the crocodile fruit. And the crocodile looked up and was a little bit hesitant, but he accepted the fruits. And so slowly they started to form and develop a close bond. The monkey sharing the fruits with the crocodile, sitting down, talking good stories, eating fruits. One day, the crocodile went back to his wife in the swamp. I don't know where it is, but the wife was noticing, where are these fruits from? You have brought fruits for me. Ah, it's from my dear friend, Monkey. And the wife was a little bit envious of this. She was jealous, actually, for her husband having such a, I don't know why she was, but maybe a close bond with the monkey, and such loyalty was developed. And she maybe felt some threatening or some, he's pulling away from me. I need my husband, crocodile. So she devised a plan and said she wanted to kill this monkey. And so she said to her husband, I'm sick. And the only way that I can be cured is by eating the monkey's heart. So you have to bring me the monkey's heart. You have to kill them. And the crocodile was distraught to hear this, because he had an obligation as a loyal friend to his monkey friend, but also to his wife. So he didn't know what to do. He was torn. Eventually, he succumbed to wife, and he went back to the river. And he smilingly said, hey, come down, monkey. I want to take you on my back and take you to the other side of the riverbank. I want to show you what's on the other side. Having the loyalty, monkey gladly accepted, got onto the back of the crocodile. Halfway crossing, the crocodile, being a crocodile, had to admit, my plan is to eat your heart. Monkey, having heard this, was a little bit smart, because monkeys are smarter than crocodiles usually. In fact, they are. So the monkey said, oh, sure, that's kind of unfortunate, but I will give you my heart. I forgot it on the tree. So why don't you just take back me to the bank, and I'll climb up the tree, and I'll take my heart, and then I'll give it to you. And the crocodile agreed, went back. The moment near the shore, the monkey jumped and got back on the tree and said to the crocodile, oh, friend, you have violated our trust. We were such good, close friends. We had such a bond. I no longer want to see you ever again. The crocodile totally got hurt, realizing he failed. He not only disappointed his wife, he also disappointed his friend. Why? Because even though the crocodile was given a duty, that duty, called swadharma, was not backed up by samanya dharma. So whenever we do our duty without being backed up by principles of ethics, what is that which is going to improve, enlighten, liberate, bring more well-being to both one side and the other? The moment we take that out, no matter how well we perform our duty or strategically plan it out, it never works out well. So this means there's a certain responsibility, even if it's someone that's so close. Everyone has a duty to say no if it violates samanya dharma. Why? Because it costs you. It costs you loss of, in this case, a relationship and disappointed wife or husband. Thereby, the story shows you that the duty has to be followed by samanya dharma. That's the guidance system underneath it all. In verse 34, I asked the question, what is a healthy and unhealthy way to make decisions? And we said the unhealthy way was to be overly concerned about others' thoughts. Like, I am, looking for your validation. I need your approval. Living like this is inauthentic. It doesn't induce an authentic life. You're living for somebody else. You're destroying your own strength that you're born with. When does it become healthy to be concerned what others think? It becomes healthy when you use that feedback for your own growth. Because every time you engage, you have an opportunity to see where you stand, what blind spots you have in relation to their experience. They have experience, so do you. So they can definitely show you something that you may have missed out. So in that sense, it becomes a healthy pursuit when I do have some interest what you think. I do. Why? Not because I need validation, but because I need areas of refinement. And you are the key to that. That's the attitude. Thereby, then the question is, having known what Arjuna's duty is, question is then, if I don't do my duty, this will continue now, what will happen? What cost will there be? Verse 35, Krishna will say, you will fall in your esteem. And I will do verse 35 and 36 together because they are very much connected. Bhayadranat uparatam mamsyante tvam magharataha yesham chatvam bahumataha bhutva yasyasi laghavam avachya vadamscha bahun vadishyanti tavahitaha nindantas-tava samarthyam tato dukkataram nukim.
The great warriors will consider you as having retreated from the battle due to fear, and you, having been so highly esteemed by them, will fall in their esteem. And belittling your prowess, your enemies will say many unutterable things about you. Is there anything more painful than that?
Okay, thank you, Ellie. So what will happen if Arjuna pulls out, or if you pull out? Then Krishna says you will fall in your esteem. So this means that there's a tendency for others to gossip, to look at your actions as much as you have thought them through. People don't see your rationalization. They only see your physical actions. And thereby, through this alone, the mind has this tendency to fill in the story. We love to do this. We love to fill in the story when we don't see the facts. And this filling in causes misinterpretation. It causes thereby your reputation to fall, because you just watch how what's being said is completely untrue. This reminds me of a story one time when, very early on, 2017, I met this great entrepreneur in Sydney. And me and him, we had this idea to start this corporation, which was to put quizzes and make people not only learn, but then they had to fill up a quiz to see how well they're understood. And if they pass to the next level, then they would become teachers and they would teach those underneath them. So we would have both students and teachers working together to get to know how to manage their minds very well. And my idea was to take these videos that were online and to convert them into a learning video. So there was this one ad, it was an advertisement, which from a hotel company, a travel company, which had people come into a lab and they were asked, what nationality do you think you are? And they would say, I'm Portuguese, Spanish, Indian, Mexican. And they would then be questioned, is there any nationalities that you hate? And we say, yeah, I hate the XYZs, right? I hate this. And they all had someone they didn't like. And they all gave a blood sample. So they came back a few days later, and their blood sample was revealed to them. And it showed them, you have in your genes, in your blood, the very nationality that you hate. And you have a little bit of German, a little bit of Portuguese, a little bit of African or whatever. And they were shocked. You can just see their faces having this emotion about this whole experience. And I thought, what a great video to convert into asking, who am I? This was my pitch. Go from just travel. I don't know how they did this into a travel company. There was some idea behind. I didn't even get it. But to me, what I saw was an opportunity to create questions. So I took this video and I paused it in the middle and I asked now questions. So who do you think, have you started asking, who are you? Something like that. And I put it on Facebook and it went viral. It got, within 3 days, about 5 million views. People, you would not believe, they started to interpret, because why? There was no agenda at all. It was just, I was just doing it because I love to do what I do and just put it on to help people out, to help them think, not just look at the videos, but help you to think when you look at the video. And the comments were lovely, but there's conspiracy theorists. What do they say? Oh, look, this person has some agenda. He's promoting some advertising company, and he's going to start asking for money. I couldn't even imagine thinking the things that I saw in the comments. And that taught me a huge lesson. Even if you have best of intentions, zero agenda, people will make up stories. And only then you realize, wow, I now understand what politicians are going through, what colleagues are going through, what government is going through. It is just mind-boggling. You can be a saint, a Krishna, a Rama. People will make up gossip. That's the nature of the mind, to fill in the blanks. Now imagine navigating in this kind of a world and you're trying to establish yourself and you see all of these words coming towards you and you're like, even if I tried, I couldn't think of this. But people do think of it. That's the nature of what is being, what's happening here. So this means that despite this possibility, you still have two choices because the laws are infallible. Can't cheat the laws. First choice is to do the easy thing. And the easy thing is to say, I'm not willing to rock the boat, right? So suppose two people are in the boat and there's a boatman at the back, and the boatman is going towards the wrong direction. And there's people in the boat, and you say, you know, if I get up, then we all agree to sort of have silence and just enjoy the view. Let the boatman take us. You know, the boatman knows where he's going. Let us just enjoy the views in silence. And you notice at the front of the boat that the boatman is actually, because you know the area very well, he's going towards the wrong place. What do most people do? Let me see what others are thinking. Are others suspicious of the boatman? If others are not, then I'm not going to do anything. We always look towards others for confirmation bias. This is what babies do. That's why babies are not afraid of snakes, because they have no idea. That's a learned fear. So they have to look at their parents and go, is my parent afraid of this? Oh, and then the parent, oh, and a baby immediately starts to cry. They look for the cues from parents. We do the exact same thing. Therefore, we don't want to rock the boat. We don't want to walk over and say, you know, it's too authoritative. What do I know? So there's an inner conch speaking, inner conch, you're conscious, you know something's off, and I don't want to rock the boat. So I stay in there at the front, and we all get to the wrong place. Now the fuel is out, and now you're just stuck there, have to survive. If only I just got up and started to rock the boat, it's kind of not a comfortable thing to do. Tell the, hey, boatman, I'm not as experienced as you, but I want you to relay back to me. There is some data that is off here. I want to have a conversation with you. That's hard to do, but it's the right thing to do. And that saves you the trouble, saves everyone the trouble. That's the right way. That's the easy thing. That's the easy thing to do, just to stay and not do anything. What's the right way? The right way is to go first. The right way is to, when something is off, I stand up and I ask myself, is this aligned with my core values? If only the crocodile, when listening to his wife or husband, vice versa, doesn't matter, said, is this aligned with my core values to violate loyalty of a dear friend? Is this something that I would like done onto myself? What are my core values? What do I truly stand for no matter what? The crocodile would have not had any problems. If only the crocodile asked, is my decision coming from strength of character, of what I stand for, or coming from validation? I want to please my dear. If only he asked that. If only the crocodile did some research. Is this the right thing to do? Is she really sick? Can a crocodile's heart cure her diseases? The answer is no. If only some research went into it, knowing what my core values are, then we can say, no, this is not right. It doesn't feel right. And I'm not going to say yes just because you are dear and near to me. Because I stand for something that's much larger than spouse or brother or sister or mom or dad. I stand for Ishvara itself, which is in a form of dharma. That's the right thing to do. And every time you follow the right thing to do, you remove those obstacles that are denying me from the full recognition that all that is here is Ishvara. Every time I do the right thing, because I'm aligned with the laws, I benefit, largely benefit. And it's not easy, I get it. But it's so worth it. Then the next verse, verse 36, and then I'll ask some questions. Again, Krishna says, what will be the consequence of not doing your parts? It's all linked together. And the consequence will, you know, again, people will talk behind your back. And again, authority, there's another issue where authority, people in power, when they see their opponent fall, what happens is they will twist the story to their advantage. So Duryodhana was in power. He was, you know, there is a prince. So when he sees Arjuna backing away, he will say, you see, people, I told you, Arjuna was not a good warrior. He was not meant to rule. His brothers also, because they're so close, and Krishna, they're all dodgy, just like I've been telling you all along. Don't trust them. I'm the one to follow. So there's another issue where when there is a corruption of power, then any apparent fall on the other side, it becomes an advantage for the other side to take advantage of and create some propaganda. It's another common thing in politics. It's how you sort of, you know, take your opponent down. You look at their weaknesses, their history. Let me research their history, and I'm going to now twist and create, you know, a big story about it. That's also a potential danger for Arjuna. He also says to Arjuna, when you fall, because you're always associated to other people, they will also fall with you because you're so closely bonded together. Who's the teacher of Arjuna? Krishna. So if Arjuna backs away from his duty, then what has Krishna really taught him? What kind of a teacher is Krishna? It's not a good reputation for your friends or your mentors when you back away, or your family. So therefore, Krishna's reputation is also on the line. So it's a huge responsibility of not doing what is to be done. Whereas when you do what is to be done, then the opportunities open up to you because people like you. They like when they see you doing your part. They honor you. They give you more opportunities in life, and that, you know, that gives you more feedback opportunities. So verse 35, why does avoiding challenges damage one's reputation and creates worse problems? Why does avoiding challenges in life, not doing what you are expected to do, why does it actually make things worse?
Yeah, I think two main things. One is you're not living your life to your full potential. That comes, and once you stop listening to this inner voice, that becomes kind of a habit, and you never ever listen to that.
Yeah.
Then probably it just quietens completely, and you live your life not in the ethical, true manner, the way you are designed to live.
Challenges comes to us for a reason. You know, I mean, if you look at each challenge in your life, in the past, you know why it happened. If we don't start clearing those challenges, blockages will happen, and the blockages get bigger and bigger and bigger as our life goes on.
Yeah.
So it has to be cleared.
Yeah, become louder and louder, and they become so loud until it's not possible to suppress it anymore. Life forces one to look at their reassess their thing, and it's kind of like with, you know, holding emotions down and constantly, you know, being nervous or anxious. What happens? It manifests as kidney stones. So now you're forced to go to the hospital and, you know, just stay there for some time and go, I can't go on like this. So there's an inbuilt system that if I don't want to do anything, Ishvara forces me to. Like something big happens that it just, you know, it just forces you to be in one position and reassess your whole life. So we don't want to get to that place. We don't want to be to that place where I'm forced to reassess things rather let me reassess things on a daily basis. You can see so many situations like this. You know, someone's getting away with it. Who was it just recently, right, in Sydney? There was a graffiti, the graffiti in anti-Semitism, right? $100,000 worth of damage. Someone was graffitiing all these rude comments. And, you know, what do you think about this, right? How can you can't just do this to the society? It's damage to the society. And what happened? This fella who did that, he was on his way to, one news channel said Thailand, the other said Bali, doesn't matter. They caught him at the airport. How? This was done at night, had a mask on. Ishvara system, called the police force. Kshatriyas are on the move. So this means that no matter what, it's going to catch up to the individual. And it should, because it's a fair system. That's why we have the judicial system. In fact, the judicial system is a representation of Ishvara. Verse 36, question is that, how does fulfilling your duty sharpen your intellect and benefit personal growth?
It was what Kerry said, the flip of that, it makes it easier for next time when the same challenges arise or similar challenges, or perhaps any challenges.
When you're performing that Swadharma, I think it's kind of one of the important benefits that you are in harmony with yourself, like you're in sync with your true self, and that itself is very satisfying and peaceful.
It's satisfying also because arjavam, this is one of the qualities, which is straightforwardness. So when I think something and I have that capacity to do what I thought, it builds integrous character. Whereas, for example, if I tell myself I'm going to wake up tomorrow at 7 a.m., but then your body wakes up at 8 a.m., right? And you remember, wait, I said to myself, I'll wake up at 7 a.m. You don't feel good about that. There's some discord there. So every time we're able to follow through our words, it just makes it, right? It builds that inner strength. I actually can do this. And it's just an amazing place to be in. That strength of movement, that strength of consistency, of being an integrous person. Not because someone else is watching over your back, because you are just like that. That's self-mastery. That's what Krishna wants to get us to.
I feel that this also gives you more control over your life. When
Yes.
you're doing your duty, you're much more in, like somebody said, in harmony with yourself, and also more control over your life. It's not being driven by the happenings, by your likes and dislikes. It's
Right.
you're more in control. You know what is the right thing to do, so you feel more in control of situation, I believe.
True, true. And I'll give you one story of that. There was a book called Man's Search for Meaning, and it was written by Viktor Frankl, who was he was a psychiatrist, and he was in the concentration camp of the Nazis in Auschwitz. And he noticed a great deal of suffering that people went through. And he was having this discerning mind to notice what is it, the question popped up, that makes someone go through these atrocious acts and these terrible living circumstances, and what is it that someone else gives up? And you would think that it is external environment. He found that it is not having a better external environment at all. Because over there was some soldiers, some from Israel, they were Jews, who were put through terrible conditions, working outside in the sun, picking up heavy wood. It's terrible. And over here, you have people working indoors, a little bit better conditions. And he found there's no correlation in your overall positivity, in your overall moral to live, to go through, in whether it is a better external condition or not. This was surprising. So he said to him, what is it then that makes these people, some of us survive and want to live one more day enthusiastically, and others not? It's not external conditions, and it's not your physical strength. So this means you can have a bodybuilder come there and a twig. It's not going to make a difference. You would think, oh, bodybuilder is going to, naturally going to be stronger and survive longer. No. This is quite surprising to him. So he discovered why. Because number one, it is having a meaning through and through the suffering. What is the meaning? What bigger meaning is there? What bigger vision, bigger foundation am I resting upon through and through the suffering? He found that those who had someone to love after this ordeal is over, they will get back to them. They have unfinished business in this world. They want to help others by the time they get out. These three conditions, having a bigger vision, a bigger meaning through and through this life of challenge, that is what made people survive and want to stay and not lose their will to live. That's why the book is called Man's Search for Meaning, because he discovered that it is the meaning that I find through and through these challenges that makes me want to go one more day. He himself survived. Why, Victor? Because he was a psychiatrist and he turned this entire ordeal into a laboratory in his mind. He said, I'm going to study because this has never been happening before in history. And here's my chance to observe what makes people want to live one more day. I'm going to survive to be able to write a book. That's what kept him going. That's why he wrote the book. Now, where is most of our focus when things are not working? First thing I tell you, oh, the environment wasn't treating me well. If I was only born in a better environment. There is some truth to this. I'm not denying it, but it mostly kind of becomes this do-all and be-all conclusion. You know, if I was only born in your time, in your country, in your generation, I would have, you know, if I didn't have kids, I would have been like you. It's the easiest way to feel good about oneself, but it's not true. Because as Vijay says, you're relinquishing your power. You're giving your power away. Giving up control. But you have the power to do, to decide, and to think. Everyone does. Therefore, control of the external circumstances are not that of a deal, rather than what's a bigger vehicle for taking you through is your meaning. So what is your meaning? What is the bigger vision that you stand for? What is your fallback every day? What is your fallback? Where do you fall back on? What is that bed of comfort that you fall back on any day of the week? Is it food? That's not good enough. Anything that comes and goes is not good enough. Is it another person? That too is not going to work out very well. The only, according to Krishna, real fallback that you can have is Ishvara. Because Ishvara is the only accomplice who's always there for you, guiding you, manifesting as you, the inquirer, manifesting as the very floor that you walk on, as the very sun, as the very air you breathe. What is your fallback? My fallback is Ishvara, because Ishvara is my best friend, my accomplice, the one who has been guiding me in all lifetimes. And all of those in the previous lifetimes, they're no longer with you. There's someone else now. But who's still with you? Who's still there guiding you, bringing you the methodology, the teacher, the understanding? Ishvara is. Therefore, Ishvara becomes the only fallback that one has, because Ishvara has been the only one there for you, in the form of different people, of course, different experiences. So this is what makes the woman move forward despite challenges. Challenges come, question, what's my fallback? Automatic. Is this an overnight thing? No, it's practice.
It's basically, you know, how you're living, how well you think you're living is all about the story that you're telling yourself, about your surroundings. It's just the story that is weaving up your mind. You need to change the story positively.
And that story has been playing for a long time for all of us. And so one cannot expect the story to change quickly overnight. So there's a certain patience, gentleness towards one's journey. You can't expect this journey to, you know, as I said last week, if I don't have Ishvara in my life, then what happens? There's this self-blame. I should be doing more. I'm not doing enough. I should be doing more. Really, if that is true, you would have done it yesterday. So there's a certain limit that we all can have every day. And we have to honor those limits. Otherwise, it's very hard to live in this, you know, in this world which is demanding so much of you. So there's a certain, hey, stop, too much. I've given, now I need a break. Pull back a little bit. So one has to honor their limits. And verse 37, not fighting is not an option. Therefore, claim your victory, Arjuna, and get up. Verse 37, Hato va prapsyasi svargam, jitva va bhokshase mahim, tasmad uttishta kaunteya, yadhaya krita nishchayaha.
Destroyed, you will gain heaven. Victorious, you will enjoy this world. Therefore, Kunteya, Arjuna, get up, having resolved to fight.
Krishna says something very empowering here. And he says that even if, Arjuna, you lose this battle, because there's no guarantee you win. Even if you lose, you will still win. Because there's no guarantee you will win this war. There's no guarantee you will survive this war. But one thing is for sure, you have done your duty, you have done your part, and therefore you will get Swarga. There is a benefit of some sort that you may not see immediately. And you will win. If you do win, you will be victorious, you will get your kingdom, you will get your immediate positive benefits, and you will get Swarga. So either way, if you don't win, you won. If you win, you still won. So this means that if you perform a action that's based on dharma, because what is Arjuna doing? He's protecting the society. That's why it's not violence. Krishna is not saying to Arjuna, go and commit violence, because self-defense is not violence. It's protecting something that is going to cost many more lives on a psychological level if the Kauravas don't stop promoting, right, their adharma throughout the society. So this means that any duty done with a certain dharma embedded through and through, a certain moral ethic, universal values, that it ends up purifying you, it ends up rewarding you. For example, a businessman failing, we look at a businessman and go, oh, they failed. Ha ha. There's almost like this enjoyment seeing people fail. But actually, from the standpoint of that person who failed, what happened? They learned so much that you didn't learn. So while we're laughing, they're learning. They're learning what it means to get down and then get back up. So who's the real winner? The one who fell. Who's the loser? The one who didn't fall. Or a student is struggling to complete their thesis, their PhD. You got to write your thesis and submit it. And it's not hard. It's not easy. But what is it actually doing? That's not ease. It's building character. When you pull through, it builds character. You go, wow, I was able to do this astronomically difficult activity. Builds confidence. So Arjuna's battlefield is not just a battlefield out there. What does the battlefield represent? It represents your workplace. That's a battlefield. It represents your internal conflicts. That's a battlefield. It represents home affairs. That's a battlefield. It represents your general overall life experience. That's a battlefield. Therefore, Arjuna now hears Krishna say, get up from this battlefield and do what you're meant to do. Because getting up, it symbolizes now there's an inner transformation. Having heard that there's only benefits by doing what I need to do, I'm now ready to do what I have to do. I'm ready to get up and do. So when Krishna says, get up, it's a dramatic statement, get up. So after all of this sitting, that's what Arjuna was doing, just sitting and waiting, right? Listening to Krishna. Okay, go on, more. Next verse. Now Arjuna is almost ready, he's not ready. He's got 80 more chapters, right? There's 70 more chapters. But suppose Arjuna got the message. He doesn't have to wait 70 more chapters. Suppose he got the message and he got up. What is the symbolism of that getting up? What does that symbolize? What does that mean in Arjuna's mind?
Wake up, not being present or real or paying attention to what is.
Okay, so wake up from your bubbles. Wake up from your little imagination that you've been established in. Come back here. This is what the world is asking you. You're a participant. Therefore, engage.
It could also mean recognition or understanding of what he had to do.
Good. This is a more closer to the answer that I was going to say. That means at the start, we begin with not knowing why, there's a certain limitation that you're confronted with. You can't see quite why. It's not clear. So clarity has ensued for Arjuna. He now sees that I was holding myself back. There were my own limitations that didn't actually exist except in my own minds. And now Krishna has helped me to recognize that I'm much bigger than this body. I'm blessed this instrument by Ishvara, and this instrument has a certain strength, being a Kshatriya, and this Kshatriya, by doing its part in this world, will bring blessings to those all around, but also unto itself. And that is a good story to end like that. And thereby, Krishna, having gotten this much, seeing that Arjuna is moving forward, says, get up. But Arjuna is not quite ready to get up, you see. Therefore, we will see next week what will make Arjuna get up eventually. In fact, we will see that chapter 18. Purnamadav, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate, Purnasya, Purnamadaya, Purnam eva avashishyate. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.